Hello there, my fellow music lovers. Thank you so much for hanging out and stopping by the channel and doing everything you do with the comments and the feedback. I love it. Thanks for the new subscribers. Welcome. I wanted to talk about Sammy Hagar for a little bit. He's back in the news trying to extend more olive branches to the Van Halen camp. Why? I don't know. He keeps getting crickets, and then we got to hear him bitch and moan about, oh, nobody said anything. You know, he asked David Lee Roth, first of all, to join him on this show that he's going to be doing. He's invited a lot of other artists. You know how Sammy, he's always throwing a party. I guess he's doing it because he thinks the fans would like to see, you know, him and Roth do something. Roth, you know, doesn't give a shit about Sammy Hagar. He should have known this when they did the Sam and Dave tour not too long ago. You know, it did not go over well. David Lee Roth did not want to play nice with Sammy. Sammy invited him to perform on stage with him and do some Van Halen songs together. David Lee Roth was just not having it. And, you know, Sammy even wrote about it in his book from 2011, Red, talked about that tour and about what a weirdo David Lee Roth is. And I don't know why you can expect David Lee Roth to, you know, want to join you on one of your gigs when you've talked shit about him, when you haven't said a lot of nice things about him. Even though David Lee Roth probably, you know, he probably is a weirdo asshole. But, you know, when people talk about that publicly and then you expect them to reciprocate with kindness, I think you're living in a very idealistic world. And let's not forget that book, Red, also talked a lot of shit about Eddie Van Halen and his brother Alex. You know, Sammy's tell-all book gave a lot of details about the alcoholism that both of the Van Halen brothers were taking part in, and it was not a pretty sight. You know, he talked a lot about how Eddie Van Halen, you know, when his marriage was crumbling, when Valerie left him, you know, he would go to his house. Sammy went to Eddie's house, and it was like vampires lived there, cobwebs everywhere, shit all over the place. Eddie Van Halen was, you know, looked like he hadn't taken a shower in a week. He was drinking a lot. He was an angry drunk. He talked a lot about how he mistreated other people, other like artists. You know, he, you know, gave a lot of details about these conversations and scenarios and situations where Eddie was just talking shit, being an angry drunk and everything. And I could see why Eddie Van Halen would resent that. You know, these are details. These are things that happened at a certain time and a place in his life. Eddie knows that he fucked up. Yeah, I think he's cleaned up his act. Alex too. Sammy talks a lot about Alex's escapades with drinking and everything, and I'm sure that Alex doesn't really appreciate all the details going public. It's in a book, it's written, and it's something that people can see going forward for a lifetime. They probably also don't like the fact that Sammy not only put this stuff down in print, but is profiting off of it. You know, this is a best-selling book. He did a lot of interviews. He got a lot of press, a lot of mileage. And I would have to think, I mean, how would you feel if, you know, you were an alcoholic or you had these problems and, you know, someone writes a book about it? And all this stuff is out there for everybody to read. And of course, you know now the way it is with the internet. People can read this stuff and they never get to hear the real truth or the counterpoint. They just read it and they just go with it. And I don't know. I just think that Sammy's book really destroyed any bridge that could have gotten Van Halen back with Hagar. I think that if Hagar hadn't written his book, I think time may have healed wounds. I think Eddie Van Halen would have been like, all right, look, you know, I was a real asshole. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And they would have gotten back and we would probably see a Van Halen album or tour with Sammy Hagar. But when you've got this book standing in the way, the book does not go away. Sammy can apologize all he wants to. It does not matter. The book is always going to be there. I think that Sammy knew this going in. I remember reading about how he was kind of, you know, doubting whether or not he should include this or that. And he even talked about how he knew that this could tank any chances of there being a reunion. And I think a lot of this was because he came off of that last tour with the Van Halen brothers, just so frustrated and so upset at what had happened to Eddie and how Eddie treated him. And I think he was just really, really hurt by how the Van Halen experience went sour. And so I don't know that Sammy was really thinking about the future. You know, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. You know, Sammy had the right to write a book and say what he did. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right. There are always consequences, and sometimes those consequences are not ones that you intend on. And I really do think that if Sammy had just not, you know, he could have written a book, but if he hadn't written about the Van Halen brothers the way that he did, I think things would have been a whole lot different now. And it's just getting kind of tired hearing him bitch and moan about how he's being treated, or how there's just like crickets coming from the Van Halen camp. It's like, you shouldn't be shocked. You really shouldn't be shocked. You know, why would Eddie want to get back with you? And plus, I think, you know, throwing into it Eddie Van Halen, I think just by nature, he might be an asshole. Just look at, you know, he doesn't seem to be surrounded by a lot of friends and everything. His friends are his brother and his son, you know. Doesn't even get along with David Lee Roth. And Michael Anthony, who has never said anything negative at all about the Van Halen brothers, he gets dumped on by Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen tried to erase his image off the website. He recently was talking about how he taught Michael Anthony all the bass lines that he ever played, and how he doesn't have that great a voice. And what did Michael Anthony do? I think that Eddie Van Halen resents Michael Anthony because of his association with Sammy Hagar. I think that because they're tight, it's almost like he's endorsing Sammy, and I think he holds a grudge against Michael Anthony for that. Meanwhile, I think Alex, I think he still misses Michael Anthony. They actually talked on the phone not too long ago for about 20 minutes. Alex called Michael Anthony, so he reached out, and they didn't talk about business. It was just about, hey, you know, how you been doing? And I thought that was really, really cool. I think Alex probably is cooler with Michael Anthony than Eddie is. So here's what I think Sammy should probably do. He should give up on any hopes of a Van Halen reunion. It's not going to happen. He should take his band, The Circle, and go out and do a Van Halen tour. Just do a full, like, 2-hour show of all the Van Halen stuff from his time in the band. He's got a great band. He's got Jason Bonham on drums. He's got Michael Anthony there with him. His guitar player, his name is Vic. I can't remember his last name. He plays a great Eddie. I mean, he does a lot of his parts great. They've already put an album out, or a video where they've done some Van Halen songs, and it sounds really, really good, actually. And Sammy's done some Van Halen songs here and there, but I think he should do a full 2-hour Van Halen set. So what do you think? You think that he should do that? What do you think about his book Red, and how it's affected his ability to get back with the Van Halen brothers? And I just want to know. Put it down below. Let me know what you think. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Hit subscribe too, and I will talk to you later.